there's certainly something about the movement that they should recognize. And it's that people can organize now horizontally. They don't have to go through the media to do it. And I think that element, which I sometimes call audience atomization overcome, which is that the internet is just as good at connecting people horizontally as it is hooking them up vertically to power, to authority, to the news system, to the parliament, to the president, right? The fact that the internet is just as good as connecting people to each other as it is to connecting them to big institutions is a very important fact. And journalists should learn the importance of that. And Occupy Wall Street certainly helps teach it. The first is, and most important in my view, is journalists have to understand the setting of their work and why these things are important. If they are told to do them without understanding why, if they don't understand the changes that are transforming their business, if they don't grasp the collapse of the business model, if they don't see and intuitively understand what's different about the web as a platform, if they're just told, do this, do that, learn this, learn that, without a grasp of what's changing in their world, then I think it's going to result in resentment and passive resistance. Another thing we have to do is we have to stop expecting that everyone will learn how to do everything. I think that's unrealistic and kind of dumb. There's still a need to specialize. There's still a need to develop excellence in a few areas rather than minimal competence in all. So I think we have to be careful when we ask people to learn everything, do everything, adopt everything. That's kind of dumb. I think that's not smart. Most of what happens is people need to feed the beast. The newspaper needs to be printed at night. It has a deadline, or the broadcast has to air at 6 p.m. And it's the accommodation to these production routines that actually creates the entire organization and all of the work routines of the journalists. So when the web comes along and it becomes the new production god, all those routines collapse and they need to be rebuilt. And the interactive world of the web, which is not one way but two way, not one to many but many to many, not just vertical communication but horizontal as well, is so different that you almost need to rebuild or reboot the news system. So that's what that refers to, is the need to structurally change the news system, given that the production machine at the heart of it is so different today. One of them is eliminating duplication. My friend Jeff Jarvis says, do what you do best and link to the rest. And the ability to link to other treatments is really important, because that means we can eliminate a lot of the duplication and redundant effort that had become routine in the news system. Another thing is the engagement of the users in the act of journalism. I think there's a lot of potential in that. There's also a lot of potential in what is called in English niche journalism, or very specialized sites or products that are able to report on a particular topic with a lot of knowledge and expertise, like technology or horse racing or soccer or tax policy. And there's a lot of potential in the simple fact that it's much easier to create new things, new products, new sites, new services virtually overnight. And that has led to a boom in creativity in the news business. Well, I run a new graduate program here at NYU called Studio 20. And the idea of this program is that you can teach young journalists about innovation by having them do innovative projects with media partners. And so we collaborate with news organizations like the New York Times and ProPublica, and this year we're going to do something with The Guardian to help them push in new directions. And our students work on problems or challenges that these big news organizations have themselves. And it's hard for a busy, large news organization to devote a lot of time to innovation when you have to put the newspaper out, when you have to produce your magazine, or when you're under the gun of deadlines. So I think that's the reason why we've had success in finding partners that want to work with us. And I think it's a better way for young people to learn journalism. Well, there's a number of things I've learned through those experiments. The most important one is sometimes called the 1% rule. And what it says is that if you gather 1,000 people at your site, 900 of them will simply use the product. That's all they'll ever do. 100 of the 1,000 will contribute anything at all, even a comment on a blog post. And 10, or 1%, will become regular contributors that you can rely on. So that's really important, because if we design participation systems just for the 1%, we're going to miss that big 10% group that isn't able to become regular contributors, but is willing to do something. I've also learned that there's something that I would call the ergonomics of participation, which means ergonomics is designing things so that they fit the human body well, right? So the ergonomics of participation is designing your invitation to people so that it fits the constraints of their life well, whether that's how much time they have available, how much knowledge they have, the motivation they come with, their reason for participating. And we need to get way better at inviting people to participate in the news system in ways that make sense for them, that fit with their life, that fit with their motivation. It's hard.